all these are different projects that we are working on now. There are different office buildings and cooperative offices and so on, but they are following the same line that we had in the past, and with the use of new materials or new concepts in the use of concrete. But I want to show only this because rapidly, because I want to comment something about the limitations of our country in the development of the architecture. First, we have a country that is not largely industrialized. We lack of many things, and we need to supply this lack of materials, lack of technology, imagining some things that supply this problem. The other thing is that Mexicans are, in some way, not so inclined to change some of the aspects that we have managed in the last years about architecture. It's a difficult thing to imagine a change that has taken so many years to change the mentality. Then all these buildings that we are making now are, as a curious thing, product of very young owners. That's a peculiar thing. Well, this is, and these are models of office buildings that are made for our use, made with a system or a toy that is named Tente, or it's something similar to Lego. That's only a matter of manufacture. But it has an advantage that you can handle this rapidly, and then you can study in volume more faster than a model, than a conventional model. This is a large cooperative office in Monterrey, in north of Mexico, and it has 6 large buildings, one in the center, and 4 buildings and 2 future buildings, and this is the center, center of art, and the services are in the north part and the west part of the complex. The interesting thing is that they are, at least until now, they are satisfied with the proposition that we made about the use of the land. We plan to use all the land as a basement with all the parking places, and to have clean land and gardens and another kind of treatment. And something that I am sure that you agree with me is that one of the beautiful pieces of industry that we have are the automobiles, but are the most polluted thing that we can see from a building. This is more or less the same approach that I mentioned, this is a model for our own use, on purpose to show which is the concept of this. We are trying to use more and more a module that is not more than 9 meters. 9 meters. The reason is this, that we must use the best that we can do in natural light. Another thing is that we can reduce the population of these areas, and never had more than 12 persons in a module, 12 people in a module, and always having each module always look as a first term a garden that is a beautiful thing in an office, and after that it will be followed by the surrounding area, and in this case it's all the Sierra around Monterrey. That is very interesting. And well, this is another thing that I want to comment to you. I have been criticized because I use largely glass. I like glass, but I don't consider glass as a material that is exclusively to allow light or to get the sun into the interiors. I suppose glass is like a wall, the reverse of a wall. When you have a wall, you are in a private. You are in the inside or in the outside, but you are private. You can see the outside, or you can see the inside. It all depends in which side are you. But glass has another features. Glass is the equivalent to have nothing. You are insulated with glass, but if the glass has partitions and aluminum partitions, you are destroying the natural use of glass. Another thing is that glass is a complement of the architecture. In this case, we are using the glass as an element, an architectural element that that can't disturb the rest of the structure. I mean the floors, the walls, the columns, and get in touch with the outside, from the inside to the outside, from the outside to the inside. I love this concept because I don't care about windows. I don't mind that I am using glass in the same form that the Scandinavians are making it. I don't care about this. I know that Mexico is a country that don't needs so much light than other countries. But I am not using light because it is necessary. I made use the glass in the same format that I use the wall. That's it. Well, these are different models of projects with two different approaches. There now is in vogue the mirror glass, and we are using it, of course, with so in some cases it's good, but in some other cases it's not. In this particular case, I am trying to expose the structure of this building, how it's conceived, how it's planned, and I want to show it because it is part of the image of this company. Then we submit two alternatives because the owner, a very strange thing, is very much in favor of the mirror glass. I am not. This is the mirror glass. Compare with the others. I am sure that you agree with me. This changes totally the conception of. Yo creo que ya algo pasó. Sí, yo creo que se atoró. Pepe. Well, these are the projects. This is going to be an office building near here, it's in Ensenada. These are small buildings, but are interesting because they try to show a more modern concept in the town, and we are working now with these plans. This is another building. This is in Guaymas, and this is a small tower. They are preoccupied with the image. They try to be distinguished, and then they try to use this as a tall building, taller than any other in the town. That's it. Creo que es la última. ¿Es la última? All right. Well, I suppose these are all the pictures that I have. I have another set of Bancomer. I don't know if you can stand it. Let's see. Yes? Okay. Then I want Jose to be here with me in order to show you this building that is for us the most interesting thing that we have made. And I am going to also to explain in which way we collaborate in this building and in other projects that we are handling now. It is very difficult, I suppose, to don't have a fight of personalities when two architects or three architects or more architects are working together. But it all depends in the way in which is handled the collaboration. We are close friends, but we have been separate for many years. The interesting thing is in the case of Bancomer is that we were invited to enter a competition by separate. I am a firm, Pepe and Juan are another firm. But Bancomer played rough with us. Well, Bancomer, when we have about 12 or I don't know how many sessions commenting about the program, about the conditions, about anything concerned with this building, with this competition, I am sure that the bank, this Bancomer, know about this, that we were commenting. Then, I don't know exactly which was the system, but I know that they sent to me a letter canceling my invitation to enter this competition. Fortunately, these two men asked me, well, we have been working together in this planning or in this knowledge of the program and so on. Why don't we collaborate? And then we start to collaborate. The important thing about this collaboration is that we never submit a scheme of, well, this building will be, my idea is this, and your idea is this, and then we can fight which is the best. Never. We talk and talk and talk for many weeks, and only trying to establish a concept of a building for this purpose, accomplishing this kind of needs, these requisites, these conditions, everything, but without a pencil and without paper. It's true?
That's true.
Then,
it came to be a fantastic opportunity because actually the way that we followed on, as Augustus has explained to you, was to have our minds focused together to the same task, to the same orientation. We wanted to find out a solution that will be the best for the task that was asked for in the competition. And the competition was so clear, understood by both of us, both groups, that we could accomplish later to overcome, to make the whole project, to conduct the construction of the whole job. You will see at the final stand the latest photographs of the building already used and occupied. And basically, we evolved on the sense that office buildings, you have very big, important office buildings here in the States. We have to do also some very important buildings in Mexico. We were using large spaces to be grouped, to have large amount of people working. But we began to feel that we were dehumanizing the people working over there. Why? It is very clear for anyone that when you attend a large office, you'll find that the people go somewhere and coming back to their desk, to the place of work, they have to mark it because they don't recognize in the big amount of desks that fills up an office, where is their place? But at the same time, it is a meaning that they are not related to the place, to the scale. So the basic proposal was to have spaces to work at such a size of a group that always the personality of the people working were related to the place and surrounded at the same time by areas that will permit as much as possible natural light and some sort of ventilation that couldn't arrive to the complexities of air conditioning, but to release the feeling that office buildings must be so sophisticated that will mean a lot of cost by our standards in Mexico to accomplish the qualities of the space to be on working. These transparencies actually are the reproductions of the competition drawings that we submitted. Basically, response later to the final product. It had some important differences on the site locations, but not on the meaning of the offices in itself. It consisted on large platforms, large because we looked for spaces not obstructed by columns or by any other disturbance, and communicated by lines on the ends that contained also the services for these office areas, and intervened with open spaces. Later, this competition was held to build the building on a very poor area that had nothing around, no greeneries, no open space. Later, the bank decided to change the site to buy another piece of land that fortunately was full of trees. That made us to change completely our minds. Instead of going to make a building very transparent inside but completely enclosed outside, we find out that we had a piece of land that had a lot of marvelous trees around, so we had to reverse. It means that we had the enclosure of greenery that was important, that we could find the spaces for the offices that will flow around. So we devised a proposal, and this was the first proposal on the new land that corresponded with a perfectly square building. It is 7 stories high. That on the last 4 stories atop are concentrated the general offices, and on the under levels are holding all the services plus the spatial security areas. This building is actually, as I was recalling you, a perfect square. On the lower level, we have contained all the security areas, computer systems, telephone systems, vaults, all the keeping areas. But basically, these plans must express to you how had been working that idea of the modulus, the concept of the structure in itself related to the spaces to be used, and this concept of modular systems not gripping our minds and directing on only one way, but letting us the freedom to interchange the occupancy of the building and permitting that the evolution of the ideas on this kind of corporations that sometimes change from day to day will permit the use of the spaces to be translated to different approaches without disturbing the general concept of the building. These are the general plans. On these you see the grid of the typical floor, that actually all the color squares represent the open spaces. Some of them are on one floor, the others are on the next down or the next up. On the center, it represents a large plaza. We had created a large plaza where everybody arrives. And from there on, it distributes the circulation to mainly 2 escalator cores at both ends. To finalize, by the means of some sort of circulations on square rings, making actually the effect of 6 main towers. Each tower actually has a core of services, circulations, and sanitaries too. So even being a very large building, it is related as if it were a complex of buildings going together, of making a whole space. By the fact Augusto was speaking about glass use. Naturally, this building, as you will see the expression on the volumetric photographics, it's covered by a glass. But why is this glass covered on the outside? Actually, the glass is not as used always as the window that you can touch or you are able to open. Over here, the glass is completely out of reach from the people that are working in. Why? Because it's only a shield. It's only a shield to the elements on the outside, but to let the people have the same feeling when they are looking at the interior patios or to the exterior garden that anyways has greenery on the inside, on the outside. You will see on the photographs later. On the central area occurs a lot of services and so on. We want to run a little fast on all the series of construction elements that happened there. We had excavations from anthropology and the history of Mexico that we had to stand up with the construction proceeds and schedules because we had to preserve and to retrieve all these elements that we find out on the subsoil. This building, as Augusto was explaining, basically is only poured and cast in place the foundation and the columns. The rest of it is precast, prefabricated, even large spans, as I will show you. This is the kind of construction that usually we find in Mexico. The way that we must accomplish not having many elements, but human goodwill and working with our clothes and everything as it was many years from now in this country. We had to went to prefab plants and to help to accomplish a way of integrating the modular system that we had with the materials and with the equipment that they had to fabricate the pieces that we were requiring and to accomplish this, even using elements that lightened the concrete in a way that it could be handled easily and with equipment that was not so heavy as it would be required. Over here you can see what happens when we began to make this building. Actually, it's quite large. It's larger than 1 million square feet in total office space. And actually, we were building only these towers. These are the columns that are 2 concrete slabs tied each floor height. Everything is, as Augusto was telling, modulated on the sizes, the thickness, the heights, the joints, the passes for the installation between columns. And we arrived with the main structure, main beams that are also, and these are precast, to be arriving to the joints on the columns and to go up, as you will see how it happened. All this construction permitted us to accomplish a scheduled program that was very speedy, because immediately over the mounting of the structure, it permitted us to continue with the finishes and with the installations without problems. All the installations are contained between the grid of beams. You see over there what happens with the beams that are connecting the towers in itself. It's some sort of a mechanical design of a building that permits later the expression and the life of not mechanical people, but human people. This is part of the central plaza on the praxis of mounting the structure. On the central plaza, we achieved very large spans. Actually, the total span is larger than 200 feet. And that naturally wasn't possible to handled with precast pieces. So on this area, the design called for a post-tensed structure. This was more or less how we were mounting pieces that for our standards were very heavy. They weighted almost 10 tons each one, and we had to fly it over the building at 7 stories high. This is a photograph of the post-tensed beams that you will see a little later already cast. And that is the corner of the building that also is post-tensed because we didn't design a column on the end. We wanted to let the freedom of the corner. This expressed the beams in itself. The idea was to have it very clean finished. You see the grid. This grid doesn't give you a scale up until you see the scaffolding that will give you more or less what's the size of this space. Over there is somebody. No, it has no people over there. You will see the finished work, so you will notice what's the scale of this. This is the grid when it was nearly finished on the roof. You can notice the columns and the grid pattern plus the main lines that contain the structural lines and the installation of all the surfaces. This is the corner construction that is hanged from the beams that are top that are pre-stressed. This is a corner of the main patio, how it looked at first and how it was advanced later. Over each one of the patios, we designed these space frames, very light ones, by the way. We achieved, as far as my experience is concerned, the lightest structures that we had decided and built up. It's a structure that weighs about 17 pounds a square meter. That will mean about 1.5 pounds the square foot. Well, the skylights actually are working with the patios to permit the natural light on every bay all around. Besides that, it permits a separation between the office areas, between those secluded spaces of work, leaving the possibility of visual communication, but identifying the spaces in itself. You can notice what happens when we have to use the scaffolding for 20 meters high, for 70 foot high, to pour a pair of beams atop of it. It is what happens afterwards. This is the same corner after it has been poured and when it is being encased. The facade, as you see, is completely separated from the structure. Why? Because in Mexico we must be very careful about earthquake stiffness in structures. The concrete structure is free, and the encasement of glass that serves, as I was saying, as a shield only, is supported only on the upper part and the lower part, and it permits the flexibility of the structure when it occurs those terrible shakes that we receive. You can see how it comes that the steel structure that supports the facade in itself is capable, even during construction, to be some sort of scaffolding in a natural way for maintenance afterwards, but also for constructing and for mounting the glasses during construction. This was the last part of our scaffolding to be tiered out. Some of these pieces of the glass really were quite big. You see how our people is handling without very heavy equipment, but in a very ingenious way to install pieces of glass that later you will see how it looks This is an expression of what's the module working on a computer area that is always related to the project, because the project in itself began to be worked on that grid system that is not the unfreedom, but the freedom to follow ordeal. It's some sort of the installations that we had to provide to feed 8,000 people at noontime in this office. This is a photograph before putting furniture over here to show the scale and the size of the module. The working module, that is what is expressed here. This is the location and the kind of trees and greeneries that we had around, why we had to change our first proposal on the other side. Up to this, it had the greenery around. The photograph isn't beautiful. It shows what was over there. Now, that's what happened finally. We have this garden. We have the building in itself, and a building that has the glass, yes, but the glass is trying not to show that force of the aluminum, but only the transparency that we are looking for. This is the vestibule approach, where 8,000 people daily come on the morning to work and are going up to the plaza to be distributed on their office areas. Now you see what happens on offices that are already full, but are separated and at the same time integrated. It happens that you can see over there a lot of people, but you don't have the feeling that you are crowded. That's the plaza, the large span that we were talking before. Over here, the use of materials, we restricted ourselves to very simple things. We are using the structure and the concrete of the structure directly exposed, only hand hammered, as you can see the texture in this photograph, and completed only with the necessary flooring. On the most important traffic areas, we use the wood, as it shows on the lower part of the plaza and the high part of the plaza. And we use carpet for sound protection on office in general. Besides that, we are using only the wood handrails, and we are not intending to have crawlers or any other kind of decoration, but to leave the nature of the exterior and the nature of the greenery on the patios to complement the surroundings. This is the group of the escalators that makes the communication links between the floors. Over this one, you can understand what it means to have the module surrounded by the patio, and having this corridor that is interconnecting one bay to the next at each one of the sides that you're walking on, and at the same time permitting that departments on a very large office space can be linked together and not be forced to be on different floors that will raise the problem of vertical communication. This is the regular patio on our grid that makes the sense that all around these patios are working with people. This transparency only shows how it is complemented, the electrical lighting, not in a direct form, but on an indirect form. This is on an end of the building, the bank, the public bank area that is integrated onto the building. And this is the outside on the public approach.
All right.
thank you very much for your patience, for everything that you have done, permitting us to express what we think on architecture, what we hope that we will have on architecture in our country, but also what's more important, what will be the possibilities of communicating between our two countries to accomplish some problems that in the future, for sure, we have to solve together. Each time the world is shrinking by communication, but also each time the world is splitting because we don't like to follow that communication line in a way that holds us together. Let's hope that we will be able, but more important, you, our new generations, that will show us later that you are capable.